it's your chance to be ruthless.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We cut through the noise to get you the core insights you need.
Glad to be diving in.
So today we're zeroing in on Halsey's 2025 skincare routine. Now, obviously Halsey is this huge music star, but she's also really made a name for herself in the beauty space too.
Absolutely. She's much more than just a musician these days. Ashley Frangipane, as she started out, has built, well, quite a significant presence in beauty.
And what I find really interesting is her whole approach. It feels very genuine. Like she actually does her own makeup for big events sometimes.
Yeah, that's a key part of her image, I think. It underlines that authenticity. People connect with that.
Right. So if you're listening and want the quick rundown on her skincare, the philosophy, the products maybe, you're in the right spot.
Definitely. And beyond just, performing, her work with brands like YSL Beauty and then starting her own line, About Face.
Yeah, About Face. That was a big move.
It really was. It showed she's not just putting her name on things. She's actively involved shaping trends even.
Okay, so she's established herself as a real player. Let's get into the routine itself then. What's the core philosophy for Halsey in 2025?
Well, from everything we've seen, it really boils down to simplicity and effectiveness. Not overly complicated.
Simple and effective. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, the main pillars seem to be consistent cleansing, making sure the skin is hydrated, and this is a big one for her, serious sun protection.
Sunscreen. Always comes back to sunscreen, doesn't it?
It really does. Non-negotiable.
So walk us through her morning. What does that typically look like?
Okay, so she starts with a really thorough cleanse, getting the skin prepped, and then crucially, she applies at least 2 layers of sunscreen.
2 layers. Wow. Okay, so she's really serious about protection.
Exactly. And she's mentioned specific ones like Image Skincare's Prevention Plus is one, and also Drunk Elephant's Umbra Sheer Physical Daily Defense, SPF 30. So, mixing it up.
Interesting. Mixing brands for sunscreen. And I also heard she sometimes skips foundation. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. She seems to prefer using concealer. Specifically, she's mentioned Clé de Peau Butte Concealer, often just where needed instead of a full face of foundation.
Why though? Just personal preference, or is there a reason?
The thinking seems to be about letting her skin breathe more. It fits back into that, simplicity theme, not layering on too many heavy products.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I have to ask about something a bit, unconventional that popped up in the research. The breast milk thing.
Yes. That definitely caught people's attention. It's certainly a unique aspect of her approach.
So what's the idea there? Is it scientifically backed?
Well, her belief, as she has expressed it, is that it's really beneficial for skin, packed with antioxidants, healing properties, that sort of thing.
Right.
It's not exactly a mainstream skincare ingredient you'll find on the shelves, obviously.
No kidding.
But it does speak to her willingness to explore maybe more natural or personal options. And it kind of taps into this broader interest in the inherent properties of biological stuff.
Fascinating. Definitely different. So this whole routine, the simplicity, the focus on certain products, even the unique ingredients, when did this really crystallize for her? Was it always like this?
It seems like it's been an evolution, not something static, but a really significant point of change appears to be after she became a mother.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Pregnancy, postpartum, that could totally change your skin.
Exactly. She talked about noticing those changes during pregnancy, and that apparently led her to kind of reassess and tweak her routine quite a bit.
So what became the priority then? What was she looking for when she made those adjustments?
The focus really shifted towards products that were, number one, effective, but also really gentle and safe. Things she felt comfortable using, knowing they'd be okay around her baby too.
Gentle, effective, safe. Got it. Which again kind of reinforces that less is maybe more natural vibe.
Precisely. Less aggressive, more nurturing, perhaps.
So for listeners who are intrigued by some of these products, like the sunscreens or maybe her own line, how easy are they to find? Is this all super high-end stuff?
Actually, a lot of it is pretty accessible, which is good news. Her own brand, About Face, for instance.
Yeah.
You can get that online pretty easily, and it's also stocked in major retailers like Ulta. So it's not like some exclusive, impossible to find brand.
Okay, that's good to know. And the other things she uses, like the Drunk Elephant or Clé de Peau.
Right, like we mentioned, she uses things from various brands. Drunk Elephant is widely available. Clé de Peau is more high-end, but still accessible in department stores or Sephora.
So it's not about brand loyalty necessarily.
Doesn't seem like it. It suggests, that building a good routine isn't about just buying everything from one expensive line. It's more about finding individual products that genuinely work for your skin wherever they come from.
Mix and match based on what works. Okay, so stepping back and looking at the whole picture, what makes Halsey's 2025 routine really stand out? What's the core message you think people should take away?
I think the biggest thing is this emphasis on embracing your natural beauty and your individuality. It's not prescriptive.
Right, she's not saying everyone must do this exact routine.
Not at all. It feels much more like she's encouraging people to, play around, experiment, find out what their own skin loves, rather than just jumping on every single trend or hyped product.
Which is refreshing, less about following rules, more about listening to your own skin.
Exactly that. It's more intuitive, and also her transparency about it all. She's pretty open about her own skin journey, the challenges she's faced, what she's learned along the way. That makes her relatable, right? It's inspiring because it shows, hey, even someone famous deals with this stuff and is figuring it out as they go.
Yeah, absolutely. It demystifies it a bit.
It does.
Okay, so if we were to wrap up this deep dive on Halsey's 2025 skincare, the key themes are really simplicity, authenticity, and maybe a kind of self-love expressed through understanding your own body.
I think that sums it up perfectly. It's about that personal connection, listening to your skin, figuring out what it needs day to day, consistent care, finding what genuinely works for you, not chasing some impossible standard of, flawless perfection.
It's about the process, not just the end result.
Exactly. Care and consistency over perfection.
That's a really powerful takeaway. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we could all benefit from applying that kind of principle, that simplicity, that listening more broadly. Not just skincare, but, listening to our bodies, our needs in general.
Yeah, a good point.
And it definitely leaves you wondering what other sort of unexpected sources, maybe even biological ones like she explored, might hold benefits we just haven't considered yet. Food for thought.
Definitely food for thought.
Well, thanks for exploring Halsey's routine with us today. Lots to consider there.
Now, you obviously know Halsey the musician, but she's also, she's really made a mark in the beauty world too.
Absolutely. And for you listening, if you want to get the real story, understand things quickly but properly, this deep dive is sort of your shortcut. We've sifted through it all.
Yeah, we've done the homework.
Exactly. To give you the essence of Halsey's approach to skincare right now.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. What are the key bits of her routine? How did it, develop? Where can you even find these products? And importantly, what's the thinking behind it all?
All right.
Okay, so maybe let's start with the basics. Beyond the music, who is Halsey when we talk about beauty?
Well, okay, so she was born Ashley Frangipane, and her impact, it definitely goes beyond just the charts. She's really established herself as a pretty big deal in the beauty industry.
That's true. And she's not just like a face for a campaign. She gets involved. You think about her work with YSL Beauty, and maybe more importantly, starting her own brand, About Face. That tells you something, doesn't it?
It really does. And what I find particularly telling is how personal and hands-on she is. Like, you often see her doing her own makeup for big events.
Yeah.
That kind of authenticity, it just connects.
Yeah.
It suggests she genuinely cares about this stuff. Beauty, skincare, the works.
It feels less like an endorsement and more like, her own practice. So, okay, let's get into it. What does Halsey's skincare routine actually involve in 2025? What's she doing day to day?
Well, the main philosophy, it seems, it really boils down to simplicity and effectiveness. It's not some super complex multi-step thing.
Okay.
The focus is really on the fundamentals. A good cleanse, making sure the skin is hydrated, and then this is key sun protection, really diligent sun protection.
Sunscreen. I've heard that's a big one for her. So the morning routine starts with cleansing, and then she puts on sunscreen, like more than once.
Yeah, apparently at least 2 layers of SPF.
Yeah.
That's, real dedication to protecting her skin.
Wow. Any specific ones she uses?
She has mentioned a couple. Image Skincare's Prevention Plus comes up, and also Drunk Elephant's Umbra Sheer Physical Daily Defense SPF 30. Both pretty solid choices for sun protection.
Interesting. And makeup-wise, she keeps it light too, right? I read she often uses the Clé de Peau Beauté concealer just where needed instead of foundation.
Exactly, which makes total sense if you want your skin to breathe. It fits that whole simple, effective vibe. But maybe the most, let's say, surprising part of her routine is her reported belief in using breast milk for skincare.
Breast milk. Okay, wait. That's different. Tell me more.
Well, the thinking behind it, as she seems to see it, is that it's packed with antioxidants, the stuff that protects skin cells.
Right, antioxidants.
And it apparently has healing properties too. It's definitely unconventional. You won't find it in most beauty guides.
No kidding.
But it does kind of tap into this growing interest in bioavailable ingredients, things from nature, maybe things we haven't fully explored in, like standard cosmetics. It definitely makes you think.
Wow. Okay, that is certainly not your typical skincare tip. It makes you wonder, though, when did this whole routine, especially with something like that element, really come together for her?
Yeah, good question. From what we can piece together, it seems like her routine has definitely changed over time. And a really big shift seems to have happened after she became a mom.
Ah, okay.
It sounds like going through pregnancy, seeing how her skin changed, maybe that made her rethink what was important in their skincare.
That makes a lot of sense. Motherhood changes priorities, right?
Yeah.
So maybe for her, it became about finding things that worked, sure, but were also like gentle and safe for her and the baby.
Precisely. You start looking much closer at ingredient lists, thinking about safety in a different way.
Totally.
So, okay, if you're listening and thinking, maybe I want to try some of these products, where do you actually get them?
Well, the good news is a lot of her favorites are pretty easy to find. You mentioned her brand, About Face.
Yeah.
That's online. And it's in big stores like Ulta, too. So accessible.
And it's worth pointing out, she doesn't only use her own brand or super expensive stuff.
Yeah.
She uses products from lots of different brands, different price points.
Right.
Which kind of proves that good skincare isn't necessarily about loyalty to one pricey line. It's about finding what works.
That's such a good point. It really brings it back to finding what suits your skin. So, okay, there's so much skincare advice out there. What makes Halsey's approach kind of stand out? Why are we talking about it?
I think fundamentally it stands out because it feels very rooted in embracing, natural beauty and just being an individual. Unlike maybe some other celebrity things that push tons of products, she often talks about listening to her skin, maybe doing less sometimes, like focusing on a healthy skin barrier instead of piling on makeup. That feels quite refreshing.
Yeah, it does. It feels like she's actually encouraging people to figure out their own skin's needs, Make a routine that works for them, not just copy the latest trend.
Exactly. And I think the way she shares her own journey, the challenges, the things she discovers, that transparency is really powerful.
Yeah.
It makes her seem relatable, inspiring even in a world that can often feel very glossy and frankly unattainable.
Absolutely. It's not just about perfect results. It's about the process of looking after yourself. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive into Halsey's 2025 skincare?
I'd say the big themes are really simplicity, authenticity, and a kind of self-acceptance. Her approach is about nailing the basics and really tuning into what her skin actually needs.
Right, and it really drives home that skincare isn't about chasing some impossible ideal, is it? It's more about understanding your own skin, being consistent with care, and finding what truly feels right for you.
Which leads to a final thought maybe for you listening. Considering how Halsey personalizes her routine, even exploring, unconventional ideas like we discussed, how might your own life experiences, your beliefs, shape how you approach skincare or even just well-being in general? Maybe there are paths to self-care you haven't really considered yet.
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time with another topic.
If you loved this deep dive, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories of your favorite influencers. Drop a comment below who should we cover next. Stay curious, and see you next time.
Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget.